Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Guten Chodesh. Leilui nishmas Mordechai. We only have 7 sponsors this morning, therefore you can come back in 10-15 minutes for the start of this year. Official, wrong one. That's the official Mishnah. Remind me when we're doing the Mishnah. Anonymous, for Yehuda Aryeh Raphael ben Yita, who needs a refuah shlema. I hope this guy paid double. It's anonymous. If we can please all keep him in mind and down for him each day until we Be'ezer Hashem hear Psuras Toivus. Bracha tzlacha to all. By Ira Greenstein, leilui neshama of the branch Horav. Is that how you pronounce it? I was an Amaretz once, and I have a whole email I have to read about it. My Amaratzis. I'm not even going to try to say his name again. Another Rebbe, Sabran Sir Rav, Sabran Sher. Rebbe Nasha Simcha ben Reb Yechiel Friedman Zeichet Tzadik Livrocha, in honor of our nephew and cousin Meir Menachem Farkovits from Ra'anana upon his Bar Mitzvah. We wish we could be there to celebrate with you. We are very proud of you and are looking forward to you bringing continued nachas to our family. Cyril, Avram Meir, Yisrael Dov, and Osher Zelig Farkovits. It's our good friends Farkoviches. Johnny Duffy. Ooh, this is a good one. I think, is Johnny Duffy the guy from Ireland? I believe so, yeah? Oh, v'hatzlacha. Maybe it's supposed to say bracha v'hatzlacha. For the guys attending the evening Zoom Shiur. Wow, maybe I should attend also. I should come on once. By Chaya Fix. This is not a mistake. She sponsored yesterday leilui nishmas Noam's father. And today, once again, tremendous support of this year. Leilui nishmas Yente bas Chunna Elchanan on her yahrtzeit. Is that it? Here, this is a beautiful email because just yesterday, when was it? Not yesterday, when we had Michael Kashi from Los Angeles, and he says that who brought him to the shiur? He took a walk with his neighbor, Jeremy Cohen, and Jeremy Cohen convinced him to come to the shiur. He mentioned him in passing. Today we have, oh, hold on. I don't remember saying anything about Jeremy Cohen. Is it up there? Did I print it? Did I not print it? Oh, here we go. That way. Oh, top one. Did I say it? No, I didn't say it. By Jeremy Cohen, I'm dedicating this shiur to mark the Shloshim of my wife, Alison's dear grandma, Dina Davidson, Dina Bas Avrom Hillel Z from Dublin, Ireland. Right over there next to Johnny Duffy, Johnny Duffy. I want to thank Reb Eli for an incredible journey so far from the beginning of brachas. Here we have somebody from the beginning of brachas, over a year. I've enjoyed learning the daf with him and the whole team. It's a true highlight of my day. True highlight of my day. And he highlighted it. I'm a friend and neighbor of Michael Kashi, originally from Iraq. You read his email this Tuesday. I'm delighted he joined the daf. I wish you and the whole Chabura continue hatzlacha. Thank you very much. Tremendous gift of bringing another person to the daf. I really appreciate it. I wish you and the whole Chabura continue hatzlacha and success, and hope to visit MDY as soon as possible. Best wishes, Jeremy Cohen, Finchley, London. Oh, here it is. That's why I didn't read it. And finally, Mordechai Sapoznick, my Rosh Yeshiva, Horav Chaim, Leib, Epstein, Haleive, Zeichet Tzadik Livrocha. I used to daven in a shul when I lived in Kensington in the Yeshiva. And he says like this, I'm going to skip around there because we are late. The Rosh Yeshiva of Yeshiva Zichri Melech in Brooklyn, New York. He was a very close talmid of Aaron Kotler, Nisham should have an Aliyah, he should be Melis Yosher. I was zoichet to be Messiah Shas around 2.5 years ago, Mazel Tov. Whenever I made a siyum on a Masechta, the entire Shas, Rosh Yeshiva would make an effort to attend the siyum. He made a siyum on Seder Mayid, and the Rosh Yeshiva was walking with 2 canes, and he invited him, and the Rosh Yeshiva showed up. He went all the way to Flatbush to give him encouragement, and that's why B'schus Zeh was Messiah Shas. Now I'm on my way to finish Shas for the 2nd time. Here's the Rosh Yeshiva attending the siyum of Seder Mayid. Rabbi Isai, this is Mordechai Sapoznick. He, every single week, he does a thing for kids, and he does cartoons, and a Gewaldike guy. If anybody has a Mordechai Shidduch, only Gewaldike Shidduchim, this is the tire guy, Mordechai Sapoznick. Should be Zoichet to have a Zivug Nemon Bekarov. I have no idea. Information forthcoming. Listen to this one very quick one. This is a special email. This is Yochanan Itzkowitz, your Hagalas Kalim assistant and burn treatment specialist. You remember that, Maisa? 30 years ago. Right across the street from... Hello, Eli. I was just asked yesterday to substitute as a Maggid Shir for Rabbi Daniel Binsky, who I think wrote in a year ago, but I couldn't find his email, who gives the daf to a Russian Chabur in Flatbush. I might be mistaken him for somebody else. I quickly reached out to Yosef Biliak, who was kind enough to email me the sheets for today's daf, and then reviewed the daf several times along with your video attached. You can see a picture of your charts for Daf Amud Beis, along with the pickle jar to show the 3 minim. Thank you again for helping me in a bind. Look at this, Rabbi Sai. Here's our Tire friend, Yochanan. Now I know what he looks like. I would never recognize him in a million years. And here's a pickle jar with dill and garlic. Now, it's not as nice as my wife's pickle jar, but here are the charts with the arrows. Unbelievable. It gives me tremendous hana here. Okay. We are privileged for L'Kaved Rosh Chodesh, a special daf of Agadita. Doesn't come along that often, and when we have it, we have to enjoy it and benefit from it. We're holding like 10 lines from the bottom, Nafnun Gimel, Amud Beis. We started the Sug Yomer Rav Yudah Omer Shmuel. Ei mevarchem ala ur ela b'mitzvah Shabbos. Shmuel holds that you don't make a bracha on the fire, Bar Mitzvah, only on Motzei Shabbos, and not Motzei Yom Kippur. Says the Gemara, Ula, like 8 lines down. Ula v'rochav chamara v'azal, story. Ula was riding his fancy Lexus, the donkey. V'havashokil v'azal, Rabbi Abba miyimine, v'Rabbi Bar Chana mismole. He's in the center. You have Rabbi Abba on one side, and Rabbi Bar Chana on the other side. Amalei Rabbi Abba l'Ula, says Rabbi Abba to Ula. V'adei damritu, is it true that you said, Mishmei Rabbi Yochanan, e mevarchem alo ur el b'motzei Shabbos? He's kind of accusing him. You're the one that said that Rabbi Yochanan said this? Since only Motzei Shabbos is when Adam Rishon took the 2 stones, rubbed them together, created fire for the first time. So that's why only Motzei Shabbos, but not on Motzei Yom Kippur. Ula turns his head towards Rabbi Bar Chana, who's on the other donkey, gives him a stare, gives him a look with anger. So Rabbi Bar Chana starts shaking. It's not me that said that. I'll tell you what I said. Somebody happened to be mentioning in front of Rabbi Yochanan. If Yom Kippur and Shabbos fall out together, you light a candle. Remember yesterday we had a machlokes, not a machlokes, minhag hamakam. Some people light a candle for Yom Kippur for the house. Some people don't. We said it's for the same reason. Shouldn't be nichshal in one of the 5 inuyim. V'ana Rabbi Yochanan Basrei. And Rabbi Yochanan says, "V'chachamim ha'isrim." On that, Rabbi Yochanan said that it's asur to light a candle before Yom Kippur. But Motzei Yom Kippur, I agree. Rabbi Yochanan says you do light a candle. That's why Ula was upset. Rabbi Yochanan never said that you don't light a candle Motzei Yom Kippur. You do light a candle Motzei Yom Kippur. Omer lei, adotehei. Ula was satisfied with that answer. Okay, great. You were talking about something else. They overheard you saying something about Rabbi Yochanan, no candle. That was Erev Yom Kippur. But Rabbi Yochanan holds that on Yom Kippur you do light a candle, Motzei Yom Kippur. Says Rav Yosef, Kare Ali Rav Yosef, Mayim amukim eitza b'levish. The depths of the water, there's a eitz in the heart. In other words, what happened? Ula never said a word to Rabbi Chana. He didn't yell at him. He gave him a look. It was in his heart. That look, Rabbi Chana understood immediately from the look what's going on and what Ula was bothered by, and he immediately answered him. There's a whole conversation going on here without any word said. Says Rabbi Yosef, that's in the pasuk. Ma'im amukim eitza b'levish, v'ish tvuna yidlena on Daf Nun Daled Amud Aleph on the top, and a smart man who'll Draw it out. He'll understand. He gave him a stare without even understanding. He understood just from the hint that Ula gave him. So Ula and Rabbi Bechana, who do they hold like that you're supposed to make a bracha on Motzei Yom Kippur on the fire? So here we go again in the name of Rabbi Yochanan. You do make a bracha bar mitzvah, beim Motzei Shabbos, beim Motzei Yom Kippurim, v'chein amod dovar or dvar. And so is the minhag that we light a candle and we say bar mitzvah on Motzei Yom Kippur. Why? Oh, we're going to get there in a second. Ner Shabbos, he's saying. But the point is that we're making a bracha not because the fire was created on Motzei Yom Kippur on a Tuesday night. It's because we couldn't use the fire on Yom Kippur, and now we could use it, so we make a bracha. You don't make a bracha on Motzei Yom Kippur, only Bar Mitzvah on Motzei Shabbos, because it has to do with its creation. You see the light, you make a bracha. You have to organize the brachas like we do. Psamim, Moresh, on a cup of wine. Rabbi Yochanan, halachak Rabbi Yehuda. In other words, Rabbi Yochanan agrees to this whole idea. There's no bracha of Bar Moresh on Motzei Yom Kippur. And he says, the halachah is like Rabbi Yehuda. You have to be misada the brachas nicely, like we do in Abdallah. Says the Gemara, here comes the idea, kan ba'ur sheshavas, kan ba'ur hayotzei min ha'etzim u'min ha'avanim. On Motzei Shabbos, you're supposed to create a fire. You strike a match, you take two stones, you do something, you're creating a fire, and that resembles what happened with other Marishan on Motzei Shabbos. On Yom Kippur, it's the opposite. You don't take a fire, you don't make a fire, because you're not creating a fire. You're taking a fire that existed. Either you lit it before Yom Kippur, or you lit it on Yom Kippur because you had a Yoledes or something. But it's also to use that fire on Yom Kippur, and you're saying, thank you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, for letting me use fire. It's Motzei Yom Kippur now. Interesting Shiloh. What happens if you have a Shabbos and Yom Kippur that come together, and you don't have a Arsha Shavas? What do? It's Motzei Shabbos. So you would say, very good. It's Motzei Shabbos. You're making a fire, you're creating. Says. It's the time that there was the creation. Says the Magen Avram, no. That's why I'm telling you this. It's a big chiddush. According to the Magen Avram, it's a major problem. You have to be yahrtzeit both. You have to show this is the creation, plus it's Arsha Shavas. I'm just saying. Azoi. Yeah? That's the Magen Avram.
The only reason you want to do that is because it's not the day.
I'm telling you a chiddush. I'm only telling you chidushim. Things that are not chidushim, I don't say. Tani chada, or hayotzim and eitzim and avodim avarchim olav. Fire that comes out of the wood. In other words, you just create it. You make a bracha. But tani chada im avarchim olav. And in the other places, you don't make a bracha. Like Kashia, Kam Motzei Shabbos, Kam Motzei Yom Kippurim. When it's Motzei Shabbos, you want it to get something new that you just created. And Kan b'Motzei Yom Kippurim. Says the Gemara, Rebbe Mefazron, Rebbe, as he walked into this house and he saw the candle lit, Bar Mitzvah. All of a sudden, he took a nice sniff. There was a good smell. He didn't sit down by a Havdalah cup like we do and make all the brachas together. And Rebbe Chia put them all together. Even though Rebbe used to divide them up, so at the end of the day, he said it again. He said Havdalah again. So, there's a Rosh, and they bring from this Gemara. It says that Rebbe, he said all the brachas, then he said it again. So, it's negeh to today. If somebody has corona, no smell, do you make bar mitzvah? No, so you can't smell. But your family could smell. Could you be mighty them? So over here it says, he already made the brachas. He already made Bar Mitzvah. And he already made Bar Mitzvah. So it's not Birkas HaNehenen, it's just to be mighty people. Perhaps you can bring a riot from here. And that's the halacha, the Shulchan Aruch paskins. You don't have to smell. You don't have to smell. You can be mitzi other people that could smell, even though you don't have chushareach, you have corona. Yeah, whatever. Blind, not. But a lot of achronim are mechulik, the Kiveger, there's different issues with it. All right. Ur b'mitzvah Shabbos, says the Gemara, v'ur b'mitzvah Shabbos, Ibri, you're telling me that the reason why we make Bar Mitzvah on Motzei Shabbos because that's when it was created, and the Gemara is going to go through a whole thing. At the end of the day, it was created on Motzei Shabbos. So let's see how it was created on Motzei Shabbos. Tanya, Asara Dvarim Nivru Be'erev Shabbos. There are 10 things, the famous 10 things that were created on Erev Shabbos, Bein Hashmashos. Now, first of all, the idea of this Gemara is that nothing Ein Chodesh Tachas HaShemesh. There's nothing new in this world. You can't all of a sudden come up with a new Bria. So everything had to be created during Sheshis Meibreshis, and if it wasn't, it was created the last second in Bein Hashmashos. Now, Bein Hashmashos, real quickly, as we had a number of times, Bein Hashmashos is what we don't know if it's night, dark, if it's Friday, if it's Shabbos, it's in between. And 9 minutes, a mil, chatzi mil, K'harefayim, Rabbi Yossi says. HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows exactly when's day, when's night, when's Shabbos, when's Friday. So the Vilna Gaon says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created at the millisecond, the last millisecond, even perhaps like Rabbi Yossi says, K'harefayim. It's just Bein Hashmashos for us. What we don't understand, it's our chesar in understanding. Okay, so let's see how this Gemara goes. The Be'er of Miriam, Sela, Rashi says it was round. They used to roll with Klal Yisrael wherever they went. V'hamon, the mon, Bekeshes, and the rainbow. Ksav, the letters in the Luchos, Umachtev, the tool that created those letters. You know, they went through and through, side to side. V'haluchos, the actual Luchos. The Kivrei Shel Moshe was an interesting caver he had. It disappeared. Nobody knows where it is. So it was a special thing. This disappearing grave had to be created at a certain time. You can't just make up a new concept called a disappearing grave. You can't make up a concept that water flies out of a rock and it rolls with people. So it was created Erev Shabbos. The famous psukim, I want to see you. Hashem says, but you know what? I'll put you in Nikras Hatzur. I'll put you right in there. I'm going to go by and you'll see my behind. What's this Nikras Hatzur? For whatever reason, it had to be created Erev Shabbos. And it's the same place that Eliyahu Novi also hid in there. Psichas Pia Alison, the fact that Bilam's donkey could talk, no such thing. Ein Chodesh Tachas HaShemesh, it happened all the way then. Thousands of years before it actually happened. Upsichas Pia Oretz, Livloi Sarashayim, and the fact that the ground opened up and swallowed Koirach. Oh, when was fire created, says the Gemara? Erev Shabbos. So why do we make Havdalah on Motzei Shabbos? Why do we make Bar Mitzvah on Motzei Shabbos? It says right over here, it happened Erev Shabbos. Vapered and a mule. The idea that you could take two animals, climb a horse and a donkey and create a new bria, that happened in Erev Shabbos. I don't understand it 100%. I saw the Sfas Emes takes difficulty with this as well. We have a million things that are climb. You take an orange and a lemon, you come out with a grapefruit. You take a this and a that, and it comes a kvi. What's a koi? You take a goat and a deer, and you put them together, you have a koi. So maybe the whole idea of climb, I don't know. Maybe this is something special I was trying to figure out exactly what's so special about a mule versus other climb in the world. Maybe that is all the climb. Or maybe a mule is very special. It's very strong. It's stronger than a donkey. It could carry much more than a donkey, and it could run quicker. It's like it's super good, but it doesn't procreate. It can't go weiter. Rabbi Yoshua Mishum Aviv. Afa'ayil, the ram that Avram Avinu found nechas b'sfach karnoi, that was all the way from Sheshis Meibreshis because it's very hard to find a sheep that's ownerless. Here's a sheep that's ownerless. Va'ashamir. In the Beis Hamikdash, you couldn't use metal to cut the stones, so they had the small worm, the shomer that used to cut the stones. Rabbi Yehuda Omer afatzvat. The first tongs. How do you make tongs, says the Gemara? The only way to shape metal is with another piece of metal. So how do you make the first metal? Says the Gemara, you need a tongue to make a tongue. So who made the first one? Halaya. So obviously the truth is, the first one came from Hashem. Amarle, what are you talking about? Take a piece of wood, hollow it out to the shape of a tongue, and then pour in hot iron, whatever you're pouring in there, and then you'll have a tongue. No, the first tongue was created by man. So the bottom line is, it says that fire was created on Friday, not on Motzei Shabbos. Our fire that we use in this world was created on Motzei Shabbos. The fire of Gehenna was on Monday, on Erev Shabbos. Says the Gemara, Urdi don b'Motzei Shabbos, Urdi Gehenna b'Erev Shabbos. V'urdi Gehenna b'Erev Shabbos. Ibri. Is it true that the fire of Gehenna was created on Erev Shabbos? There are 7 things that were created before the world was created and not on Erev Shabbos. We want to say that the fire of Gehenna was created on Erev Shabbos. Over here is going to tell us that the fire of Gehenna was created before the world ever existed. Ve'elohein, Torah was created before Shabbos. Rashi says the words of the Torah were with black and white fire, black on top of white. Before we're talking about the luchas, utshuva, the ability to flip an aveira and get out of it. It's a tremendous chiddush. So that happened before Brias Ha'olam. Just want a quick story. I mean, not that we have enough stories here, but it just came to mind as I was learning the Gemara. There's a beautiful Rashi in Sanhedrin Daf Lamed Aleph Amud Beis, all the way in the bottom, like 15 lines from the bottom. And Rashi brings an Agoda. He says, Mar Ukva wanted to be with an Eish Ish, and he was going crazy, became sick. One day, this woman, I mentioned it a while ago, one day this woman needed him. She needed money from him. She was that poor. And she was nisratzet him. And he was koivish as yetzer. He controlled himself. And he says, they called him Nosen Tzutzisa, Reb Nosen Tzutzisa from that day on, because he had a light shining on his head. When he would walk outside, he had a light shining from his tshuva. Says the Gemara, Gan Eden, and Gan Eden was created before the world. V'gehenim, and over here it says Gehenna was created before the world, not on Friday. Problem. V'kisi ha'kavod, u'beis ha'mikdash, u'shmoy shel Mashiach, the name of Mashiach. Who's going to be the concept of Mashiach? The Beis Hamikdash. They were all created before the world was created. Torah d'chsiv, Hashem, Kanani, Reishis Darkoi, before it even existed. Tshuva d'chsiv, Beterem Harim Yuladu, before the mountains were created, I have tshuva. Uchsiv, Toshev Eden Shedaka, Batoim Veshuvu B'nei Adam, you should do tshuva. Gan Eden d'chsiv, Vayita Hashem Elikim Gan, Be'eden Mikedem, from before. Gehenem d'chsiv, Ki Aruch Me'esmoil Tofte. Tofte is the lashon of Gehenem. Me'esmoil, before the world was created. Yesterday. Kisi HaKavod u'Beis HaMikdash, these 2 things. D'chsiv, Kisi Kavod, Merishain, beforehand, Makam Mikdashenu. Beis HaMikdash, Kisi HaKavod, Merishain, before. Shmoy Shem Mashiach d'chsiv, Yishmoy Lo'olam, Lifnei Shemesh, Yinoin Shmoy, before the sun even. Yinoin Shmoy will have his name. Amri, says the Gemara, I'll explain it to you. Chalolo u'denivra, Kodim Shenivra Olam. The actual place of the Gehenim, you're right, it was created beforehand. V'ur, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu had to light it up, set the fire in there. V'ur day Erev Shabbos, that happened on Erev Shabbos. The Maharsha says a beautiful thing here. What's pshat? Why Erev Shabbos? Because, and that makes a lot of sense from the next line in the Gemara, that Adam Rishon wasn't created until Erev Shabbos. So there's no need for it. And that's why, we'll see in a second, I might have jumped the Maharsha a second, V'ur day Erev Shabbos Ibri, but was the fire actually created on Erev Shabbos? The time Rabbi Yossi Omer, Ushabar HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'Sheni b'Shabbos. It happened on Monday, the second day of Ma'aseh Bereishis. And Ein Lo Ikviya Lo'olam. That fire, there are going to be Rishoyim in there, burning forever. Shenem Avayotzav V'ro b'Pigra Anoshim Ha'Poshim Bi Ki Soilatam Lo Yisamus V'Yisham Lo Yisichbed. The fire is never going to be extinguished. Why doesn't it say in the pasuk kitov? Every day it says, and it was good kitov, not on Monday, not on the second day. Shenivir boy ursha Gehenim. There were good things, but also there's something bad. The fire of Gehenim. V'omer Rebbe Lazar, Afa Pishalei Namar boy Kitayv, Chazaru Kloloi Bashishi. HaKadosh Baruch Hu went, and here's the Marsha. HaKadosh Baruch Hu went and stuck it in. Shenemar Vayar Elikim Eis Kol Asher Asa. Everything, including Gehenim. V'hinei Toiv Ma'id, because now I have Adam Marishain. I have human beings that I need to give them a little bit Gehenim so they can get into Gan Eden. So Toiv Ma'id. Says Gemara, Elo Chalola Kodim Shenivra Oilam Vurdidei B'Sheni B'Shabbos. So we have to say that the actual Chalal, the actual building, wherever the Gehenim is, the ground, that was created before the world. The fire was created on the second day of Ma'aseh Bereshis. Vurdidan. But the fire that we use in this world, Machshava Allah Libaris B'Erev Shabbos, HaKadosh Baruch Hu thought about it on Erev Shabbos. That's why it's one of the things Erev Shabbos, because it was created in Hashem's mind, so to speak. And then he gave Adam Arishain the ability to think how to do it, and he did it himself. Adam Arishain, the Sanya Rabbi Yomi. There were two things that Kodesh Baruch Hu wanted to create Friday. And they weren't created until Motzei Shabbos. HaKadosh Baruch Hu stuck it into Adam Arishain's mind. Adam Arishain, main dugma shel mala, a certain relevance to what happened up there. He took two stones, he rubbed them against each other, and out came a fire. Where did he get this idea? Baruch Hu planted it in his head. And he took two animals and he mated them parrot, and that's where you have a mule. Parrot is way later, by Esav's time. So, we have this man, his name is Ano. Ano is the son of Tzivoin. Hu Ano, asher motzos hayemim. He found the mules. He found them. In other words, he created mules. Ano is the guy that created it. Says Gemara, those who learn the hidden parts of the Torah would say, Ano pasal hoya. Ano was a mamzer. Lefichach hevi pasal oilam. So therefore, he brought something puzzle to the world, which is interesting to me at least. HaKadosh Baruch Hu created it in Sheishis Yimei Bereshis. So I guess HaKadosh Baruch Hu also created Mamzerim. It seemed like HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted it almost. Fine. Shenemar elu b'nei seir achori. Uchsiv elu b'nei tzivin v'ayo v'ano. So we have a problem here. Take a look at this pasuk. A couple of psukim before it says, or four psukim before, elu b'nei seir. Who's Ano's father? Seir. Seir had Tzivoin va'ano. So Tzivoin is Ano's brother, not father. Eila b'nei Seir ha'chayri v'Tzivoin va'ano. Tzivon and Ano are brothers, the sons of Seir. All of a sudden it says in this pasuk, Eila b'nei Tzivoin, who is the son of Tzivoin? Ano. So what happened was, Tzivoin had a relation with his own mother, and now came Ano. So Tzivoin is Ano's brother and father at the same time. So you see that Ano was a mamzer. Now maybe there's two Anos. The Gemara is going to discuss it. Who said it's the same one? I'm going to tell you something that the king didn't even say. Umanu, who's the king? Shmuel. Why is Shmuel the king? Because Shmuel, the halach is always like him when it comes to mammon, it says Rashi. I'm going to tell you something, Rapapa said this. I'm going to tell you something the king didn't say. Umanu Rava. Omakra, Hu Ano in green. Hu Ano the Mikara. It's the same Ano as before. So they're not two Anos, it's one, and he was a mamzer, and he created a mule. A mamzer creates mules. Omakra, Ano, Ano, Mikara. Tanarabban. So this we had already. Asar Dvarim Nivru Be'erev Shabbos Ben Hashmos. There were 10 things that were created before Shabbos, as Friday was going out. That millisecond. Veiloin Be'er Uman V'Keshes Haktav Hamachdev Aluchos Kirish Moshe Ma'ara Shomad B'Moshe Velio Psichas Pia Asayin Psichas Pia Ar V'Loya Asar Shaim V'Yesh Oimrim. And here's the addition that we didn't have before. Af Makli Shel Aaron, even the staff of Aaron Shkedeu Brochel, with the almonds on it, with the flowers. V'Yesh Oimrim Af Hamazikim Shedim. Remember that famous thing I won a set of Chumashim when I answered the question, what else was on the Teva besides human beings and animals, and everybody says, oh, garbage. No, that was later on. They created waste. What else was on the teva? Rashi says, Shadim. Shadim were on the teva. Shadim were, it's interesting how they describe it. HaKadosh Baruch Hu was creating human beings, and all of a sudden, poof, Shabbos came in. So whatever's stuck in between Friday and Shabbos, so they're a creation without a body. And they remained, did the Shadim, did the Mazikim that caused a lot of problems. And we're turning to Daf Amud Beis. Af bigdoi shalodam arishain. The clothing of an arishain, either the kosnois are that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created for Adam arishain to, when he realized he's unclothed, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created clothing, or it's the beged that Nimrod had later on that had the depiction of all the animals on it. We just turned to Daf Amud Beis, sponsored by Gedalia Fenster, Refuah Shleima of Yerachmiel Daniel ben Tova Basha. Although it's Rish Chodesh, remember he started a little bit into Rish Chodesh. We have a new sponsor for next month. We'll take one more sponsor. Yosef was telling people he's not interested in another sponsor, but I think we could, if it's very quick like this, a very short line, we'll do another one, but not 3. All right, Tana Rabbanan. Shiva dvarim mechusim mibnei adam. There are 7 things that are not revealed to human beings. Elohei yom hamisa. Imagine if somebody knew the day he died, so he'd be constantly living in tshuva. He know exactly what he has to do, when to live. It would be a chesaron in his bechira l'chayra. I don't know. I think that's the pshat. Anyways, he doesn't know when a person doesn't know when he's going to die. V'yomi Menachem is referring to any kind of consolation that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives a human being when he has a tzara. We don't have the idea when it's going to be over. Again, the idea that you have to be in constant matzav of tefillah, always be begging HaKadosh Baruch Hu for salvation, for Yeshua, for Nechama, for Parnasa. If you knew the end, then there would be, okay, if a guy knew exactly when he's getting engaged, so he wouldn't have that, he wouldn't daven, he wouldn't be worried. You know, okay, so it's going to be in 3 years. Okay, so I'll take off now on vacation, I'll learn shtar, go to Yeshiva 3 years. It's because he doesn't know that uncertainty makes him daven. That's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants. Huh? Kataras Asfeikos.
Yoni Meisels gets a mazel tov.
Yoni Meisel's mazel tov. His daughter got engaged, right? Beautiful. Yoni, beautiful. Yoni Meisels again. It's unbelievable. It's hard to find people like this in the United States and Chutz La'aretz. A man who has a Gemara open the entire day in front of him, he changes money, and he just learns the whole time, in between people. It's constantly learning. It's not a job that you're doing all day. Every 10 minutes somebody comes in. Sometimes he has more, sometimes less, but he's constantly learning. Unbelievable. So Mazel Tov. He always gives me aras, especially when Nachman wasn't there. You missed this word, you missed that word. He knows exactly all the words, everything to the T. Zok the Gemara. V'oimek hadin. No, certainly there are people. There's a lot of them here in Bet Shemesh. A lot of people like that. V'oimek hadin. You live here in Eretz Yisrael. I'm talking about America. V'oimek hadin. You're different. V'oimek hadin, and nobody understands the din. Maybe it means there's a bunch of people that they'll do just like mitzvahs. We say this all the time. There are 2 people that do a daf Gemara. One guy has it so easy. He's about Kishrin. He can read through the Gemara like a newspaper, like my chavrusa. Literally, give him any Rishon, any Taisus in the world, zip, and he tells you the kashas, the tirutzim, no problem. He reads it like you would read a newspaper. And as a person that struggles. Obviously, the guy that struggles gets a lot more schar. And the same thing with an Aveira. If somebody has such a taiva, such a this, so he gets less of an einish than the guy that could have been his guy. Everything is equal. Oimek hadin. And thank goodness we don't know what other people are thinking, because that will, the world would be over. He thinks about me like this. You're constantly worried about what the other guy. You wouldn't do business. Again, we're not talking about people like Gary. We don't know how and what. We don't know how and what we are going to have a livelihood from. And I saw a beautiful thing. I've never seen this before. It was a shocker to me. If you look at Agoyis of Tzionim on the side, he brings over here, smack in the middle, it's like a gift from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So the Nezer HaKodesh says, unbelievable. I never knew this. He says, every human being has the ability to be a multimillionaire. The question is, if HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave you the gift to tap into your mazel, So this guy is going to be a doctor, he's going to become a millionaire. If that same guy that becomes a doctor, instead of becoming a doctor, he became a lawyer, he's not going to be a millionaire. So you have to know how to go to your mazel. It's a different way of looking at it. Not that you're poor and you're rich. Oh, maybe he's asking good. What's an afkamina? Perhaps. I'm just saying perhaps. The Chavis Avav says that, and I thought about it in terms of like the Vilna Gaon says also that, now Shlomi Klein is going to make fun of me that I said the Vilna Gaon twice in 5 days. I said, you guys constantly mention the Rebbe, the Rebbe, the Rebbe. He says, you say Vilna Gaon, Vilna Gaon. Okay, fine. But the famous Vilna Gaon, that how does a person know when you come to what should you work on when you come to this world? What's your the one that you have the hardest time with, the one that you gravitate, that you gravitate to, that means that's why you came here. Work on that the most. So the same thing with Parnasa. When you gravitate to medicine, that means you should check out medicine. That's your natiyah. That's your thing. And he says also, though, if you're a weak person and the medicine is not, you can't stand the extra hours and all the constant bombardment. So it's not you. If you're a writer, you feel it. You have this love for writing. So go for that. In other words, you should always enjoy what you're doing. That's the bottom line. You should work in things that you enjoy. But that's the nafkamina. And maybe it's a little bit different than what we always think. How can you break the mazel? How's it possible? You're supposed to be, you're not supposed to be. I don't know. Okay, whatever. But it's the santazach. Again, I'm trying to tell you chidushim here. Torah Bonon, Gimel Dvarim Olu Machshava Li Barois. Huh? Oh, thank you. Umachos Beis David Mosai Tachzor. Thank you. Now I don't have to hear from Yoni. When is the kingdom of David going to come back? Umachos Chayeves. And when is this whole ghost that we're in? Mosai Tichle. When is it going to be destroyed and gone? Torah Bonon. Gimel Dvarim Olu Machshava Li Barois. There were three things that Baruch thought about creating. Now I'm thinking, stam out loud here, I might be wrong. What does it mean HaKadosh Baruch Hu thought about creating it? Perhaps it couldn't be created. They couldn't be created, look. There were no dead people yet. So how could HaKadosh Baruch Hu create a smell in a corpse when there's no corpse? He thought about it. When it happens, I'm going to do it. And those three things, and if he didn't think about it, it makes a lot of sense, common sense that this should happen. Why? Because if a dead person doesn't smell, what would people do? They would take their dead home. They would keep their parents in the closet, like we had that Gemara, that a person makes a carpet, turns it into a couch. Why? Because he loves his father. Not that he wants to be Mvaish's father. He wants to keep it at home. Baruch Hashem, we forget the terrible tragedies that occur in our life. Otherwise, we'd be bombarded by it. We wouldn't be able to function. And that wheat should go bad. Otherwise, people will hold on to it, look for a better price, and we wouldn't have what to eat. There's currency. It's a nice that this currency, people rely on bills, on things that don't make any sense, and like this we're able to do parnasa. Says the Mishnah, real quickly, I can only see screen number 1, so I see Joe Schumann. Shlomi Kleiman, I'm very impressed with you. Look at this tzaddik, he has I don't know how many, 50,000 people on Facebook. Fitness model that's learning Torah every day. Unbelievable. Zok Gemara. Oh, I have to say, official. Oh my gosh, there's a Megillah, official. We got to cut it down here. Rosh Chodesh Shvat, the memory of Grandma Sarah Bas Meir Menachem Farkovits Sarah Gross, who became an almana at Kol Nidre. I remember that story in 1922 with 7 Yisoyim at Kol Nidre. She was nifter, unbelievable. In Duquesne, or in Panovich English, Dukenst, who raised 7 young Yisraelim al derech HaTorah, who zoicha, I'm not going to try to read this next word, to a P-R-O-G-E-N-Y of many hundreds, with many, you're talking about Panovich, and then he sticks in this Panovich word, who do the daf, and many who give the daf. So she has Yetz Chalatzim that give the daf, listen to the daf, beautiful, her neshama should have an aliyah. Makim shenoagu lasis melacha b'Tisha B'Av. Tisha B'Av is not a very good day to do melacha. Why? Because you want to think about the Churban Abayis. You don't want to be busy with work. So there's a minhag not to do work, there's a minhag to do work. Again, you go by your minhag al-malkoim. You don't do. But anywhere you live, Tamid Chacham betelim, Tamid Chacham should not do melacha. And you common folk, the Amaritzim, the Pashat Balabatim, the Daf Yomi Yidin, they should pretend that Tamid Chachamim, they should not do melacha. He's more machmer. Try not to do melacha on Tisha B'Av. Oh, Mar Shmuel, ain't tiny siba b'Bavel. So Tainas Tzibur is a very strong thing. It's that when there's no rain, they got together and made a Tainas. Now this is a serious Tainas, similar to Tisha B'Av, not like we think about Asar B'Tevis. Tainas Tzibur. Also Melacha, we're going to see a whole bunch of things of Tainas Tzibur. Elo Tisha B'Av Evad. So Tisha B'Av is a Tainas Tzibur, but there's no Tainas Tzibur in Bavel, but there was Tisha B'Av in Bavel. So what does that tell me? L'meimer the Savar Shmuel Tisha B'Av ben Hashmashas Shalei Asur. So now, once again, if we're going back to ben Hashmashas, this period of time, which is unknown as day, night, you shouldn't be eating now. Just like a Tainas Tzibur, you don't eat now. Not Asar B'Tevis that you could eat all the way till Alisa Shachar. You can't eat by ben Hashmashas by a Tainas Tzibur. You're permitted to eat according to Shmuel. We're going to see later, Machlokes. According to Shmuel, you're allowed to eat when it's still twilight. Whoa, who told you that a regular Tainas Tzibur you can't eat? Maybe you could eat it also. But now we learned in the Mishnah, you could eat on a Tainas Tzibur beforehand. It's coming to say, but you could eat ben hashmashas. You're not allowed to eat at night, but you could eat ben hashmashas. So Mela, who told him that you can't eat ben hashmashas by a Tainas Tzibur? Maybe I have a right to him. There's no difference between Tisha B'Av and Yom Kippur. Jumps Rashi immediately. Oh, of course there's a difference. If you do an Aveiro, if you do something you're not supposed to do on Yom Kippur, you get Karas. If you do it on Tisha B'Av, nothing. They're Rabbanan. Elosh is a Sfeiko Yosef, is a Sfeiko Mutar. But Rashi says, we're talking about before you do something wrong. They're all the same. You can't bathe, you can't eat, you can't drink. So what's the difference? A suffix. Now, what does a suffix mean? This is the classic suffix in Shas. Bein Hashmashas, twilight. Is this Friday? This is Shabbos. Is this Tisha B'Av? Is this Erev Tisha B'Av? What is this? It says a suffix is mutter. What does that mean? La bein Hashmashas, l'chayr means that you could eat here. Suffix, you're allowed to eat. La, a serious suffix. We don't know when Tisha B'Av is. We don't know when the Rish Chodesh was. So if you have a suffix, if you have a suffix on Yom Kippur, fast 2 days. Incredible, like over there in Shanghai, fast 2 days. Or like Chazon said he shouldn't. But on Tisha B'Av, you never fast 2 days. That's the difference between Yom Kippur and Tisha B'Av. Darish Rava. Ubaris umanika is pregnant women and nursing women. Misanis and mashlimis boy. They have to treat Tisha B'Av kederach shemisanis and mashlimis b'yom kippurim. You don't fast, you have to do it later. You have to fast the whole day. Ubein hashmashos shelo yasur, and you're not allowed to eat on Tisha B'Av during Ben Hashmashos. V'chein omru mishmei de Rabbi Yochanan. We're not permitted to eat Ben Hashmashos Tisha B'Av. Rabbi Yochanan didn't say that. Tisha B'Av ain't a Tainas Tzibur. He said, Tisha B'Av is not like a Tainas Tzibur. My love the Ben Hashmashos, that you're permitted to eat Ben Hashmashos. Loi. So now we have 4 differences between Tisha B'Av and a Tainas Tzibur. Difference number 1 is Limalacha. You're not permitted to do Malacha on a Tainas Tzibur. It's very, very severe. But on Tisha B'Av, you're allowed to do Malacha, like we learned. Only if there's a minig not to. Malacha Tanina. That's what we learned. So why do Rabbi Yochanan have to say this? We learned it already. Even in our Mishnah, who's the most machmir, he says, act like a Talmud Chacham. Don't do Malacha. If you're a Daf Yomi person and you decide not to do Malacha, you're not a Balgaiva. People are going to think you're lazy. You took off a day from work. They're not going to say, oh, he's trying to be like a Talmud Chacham.
Like in Nun Aleph.
Like in Nun Aleph. Very good. The man is doing Chazara. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. They'll say, there's plenty of people that are Batlanim. It says over there, right? Here's another difference. Tainas Tzibur, you say Ne'ilah. Can you imagine? Ne'ilah is not specific for Yom Kippur. You say Ne'ilah on Tainas Tzibur, not on Tisha B'Av. Says the Gemara of Rabbi Yochanan, what do you mean? You could daven Ne'ilah on a Monday afternoon. It's not a bracha levatala. The more you daven, the better. Says the Gemara, you must say Ne'ilah. Hacha on Tisha B'Av, Rishos. If you feel like doing it, if that's the minute, then you do it. Tainas Tzibur is another nafkamina. Tainas Tzibur, they instituted another 6 brachas in Shemona Esrei. on top of the 18. So you have total of 24. And Tisha B'Av, you have the regular Shmona Esrei. Maybe sticking another period over there, but it's regular 18. Rapapa Amar, Ma'yonik Ketan Tzibur, Enik Rishonos, Elokach Roinos. Rapapa says no. We're going to go back to the beginning. There Rabbi Yochanan is talking about Bein HaShmoshes. But your question was that he's not making, over here he's machmer. He says, Tisha B'Av is not like a regular fast, like Tzom Gedalia, like the Rishonos, that you're allowed to eat at night. No, Tisha B'Av is the Chamuros. It's like the last type of fast. Elokach Roinos, that you're not allowed to eat. Basura. 2 more lines. Meisvei. What's the difference between Tisha B'Av and Yom Kippur? Nothing. They're all us. Everything's us on Tisha B'Av. But if there's a suffix, it's mutter. My sveikim mutter, like we had before. La ben hashmash shloi, the same question we had before. L'chor is saying that ben hashmash is mutter. Rav Shisha b'reider avidi loy likvi the yarcha, like we had the concept before. If we have a suffix when Rosh Chodesh was, we don't know when the 10th day of the month is. When Yom Kippur is, fast 2 days, says Rashi. Other Rishonim argue on him. But Tisha B'Av, you never fast 2 days, even b'safek, sveikoi mutter. Have a wonderful day and a wonderful chodesh. A good kibbutz shiur. Nachman, say something to him. Shir ha'ma'alois me'amkim chosicha adinoi. Adonoi, shumma b'kodit dinezach k'shavais dekotach adonoi. Amen tishmayad nemi amoid. Tamcha, asicha, demanti v'rei. Yehuda Aryeh Raphael ben Yente should have a full shleima. Shkoyach, thank you very much. What happened? What happened in 10 minutes? I didn't hear.
Where's Eli Stefansky? I gotta.
Oh.
Where's this guy?
Hold on, Yeshua. I got a question. What did Lauren Spiegelman just say? I heard him say something 10 minutes.
Get in touch with me. I could send it to you. I have the.
Lauren, what were you saying, Lauren?
Put the number on the chat. Bye, everybody.
Bye bye.
It's over here. This is the information up here.
We can pass you that, but that's not what we're doing.
I'm just saying that I have it. If anybody wants to send it.
So send it out.
I'll take it back. Put on the chat. The phone number.
Oh.
It'll be fine. Or send it to us and we'll put it out.
I'll send it to you.
Lauren, I didn't hear what you said. Lauren, what were you saying before?
I said amazing. You did Amud Beis was a long Amud, and you did it in 10 minutes. That was amazing.
It's always. What do you mean? But Amud Beis is always shorter and easier.
I know, but this was a long one, and it was 10 minutes. Usually it's like 15.
Did you, 1 minute, did you understand everything? Or there was some difficulty?
Of course I understood everything.
Wait for the 8-minute daf to get the chazorah.
Let me see.
I just want to tell you, you told me it took me 4 days to go see the CEO, and you want me fired. The Seder. It takes you 2 months for me to tell you to mention someone, and you don't mention him. I'm very upset.
You wanted me to mention him on what? On what cheshbon? On the cheshbon of the daf? We barely finished today's daf, and I said Amud Beis in 10 minutes. You wanted me to say Amud Beis in 9 minutes? I saw what you wanted me to say. Rob Shimon or something. Rob Shimon. I couldn't say it. I just couldn't say it.
But Rob Schachter has been with us for a year every day, and you haven't mentioned him.
Listen, Yeshua.
I'm managing without Yeshua about it. The whole place looks like it's crumbling right now.
I want to tell you something. Yeshua. It works like this. I'm not going to fire you for not getting him a Slurpee. But one thing, I will ignore you. If you ask me to do things and mention people, I cannot do that anymore. You have to build credit now. Now you have to build credit. You go, you buy him a bike, you buy him a car, you do something, then I could listen to you.
Okay, so I'll be out the house. I'll send it all.
You saw I opened it up to show you that there's no battery.